I've always been fascinated by bees, beehives, mesmerized with how nature really allows each shape and function be as perfect as they can, aesthetic and utilitarian. This is a time lapse of my planning and sketching of this bag. Almost all my colleagues in the business know that I'm really a fan of luxury bags, especially Louis Vuitton. To start, I sketched a design of the honeycombs to be the signature element of this piece. Since copper wire is delicate to handle and the base armature is kind of flimsy, I needed to use GI5 or galvanized iron 5 for the starting structure. The shade of the copper wire well suits the total goal for the aesthetics, so I need not have to paint or change the color. And since the color of the leather is black, it'll be great. I wanted to have details for the honeycomb, so I made smaller weaves to further add depth to one of the honeycombs, achieving emphasis and subordination. And just to tie up both front and back of the bag, I did one honeycomb or chamber to mimic the queen's room in the entire honeycomb, and I thought it was amazing. I suddenly had a whim of idea to just lay down all the finished parts and made a montage which I wanted to print and frame soon. Another artwork, right? Now it's time to put these parts together. Mind you, each 30-second time lapse that I made was actually 4 hours in real time. Now, if I were to get 10 minutes of work in this entire video, doing the math right, it took me roughly 100 days or 3 months and 10 days of work finishing everything. One of the things I really dread in the entire process was applying the adhesives because of the stench and the waiting time for it to dry up correctly because of the assembly. At this time around, I got myself a little excited seeing the assembly of the base in the bag and putting the stainless feet. It gave me some assurance that everything will work out just fine, the way I thought it could. As they say, there will always be a silver lining at the end of it all. And mine here was sewing the wire weave into the leather piece. Of course, I wouldn't teach you my technique. It is for you to discover. most intricate parts was the assembly of the queen bee's chamber at the back of the bag, because it has a number of layers to exactly fit in. And I tell you this was one of the summits I actually shouted for after finishing this part and finally putting the inside pocket to close the inside chamber. I gave myself a pat on the back for a good job after this part of the assembly, because all of the measurements went exactly well without any revisions whatsoever. Now, sewing in the sides of the bag was almost speeding up, well, in real time, because I knew that I was almost done with the bag. But I was already dreading this part, where I needed to put the glaze again. This was because the edges of the bag has the biggest part to put glaze on, and by this time you would already know how long it took me to finally arrive to a smooth finish. But nevertheless, it was rewarding to have everything done. Another thing that tested my patience is putting the glaze in the edges. Man, it was tough, because you need to let it dry and then sand it again. Then you need to put another layer and then let it dry and then sand it again. You need to do this over and over and over until you see the edge really smooth. Last part of the assembly. It was already like a walk in the park, putting the parts of the shoulder strap, D-rings, and the hooks all together. the cherry on top was finally putting the silver queen bee as the clasp off the back. One thing I realized after finishing this 9th opus. In life, the hardest mountains to climb give the best summits in the end.